Cliff. Welcome back to the third part of our interview. Moritz is also there. Hi, Moritz. Hi, Cliff. In this part, we want to get deeper into your portfolio and learn what companies you're investing in. You have currently 6 holdings and 1 short. Is it right?
Yep.
Sure. What are these 6 holdings?
So the largest position is Carvana. After that, we have positions in World Acceptance, Herbalife, Ashtead Group, Credit Acceptance, and a British retailer called B&M. That's what the list is, and Ashtead Group is Sunbelt Rentals, so they're predominantly the U.S. construction equipment rental company. Carvana obviously is a large online used car dealership. Herbalife is a multi-level marketer of health and weight loss products. B&M is a discount UK retailer. Credit Acceptance is a subprime auto lender. I believe I've covered them all, but if I've missed one, let me know.
The retailer, I think?
B&M, the retailer? Yeah, they're a discount UK retailer.
Okay, I got it now. You have a strong US focus, or?
Yes, yeah, it's much easier. Of those companies, only B&M is just outside the US. Credit Acceptance, World Acceptance, Carvana, for the most part, Ashtead Group, are all entirely U.S. focused. B&M is outside the U.S. Herbalife is a global company.
Some of these stocks, like especially Herbalife, are quite controversial. Why did you invest in such a controversial stock?
Well, I don't think Herbalife's so controversial anymore. It was controversial for a time when an investor by the name of Bill Ackman made the case in public that he thought that Herbalife was operating an illegal pyramid scheme. In general, the goal in investing is to find businesses that have a really bright future that you can get for a lot less than they're worth. It turns out that other people have that goal too. And so you're usually not able to get a great investment unless there's something that is causing the person on the other side of the trade to sell it to you. So it's, unlikely, not impossible, but unlikely generally that you're going to have really phenomenal investments with at least some amount of controversy at some level by someone about the value of the business. In the case of sort of the public controversy that Herbalife had, and in particular Ackman, it was in some sense bad, but in some sense good. And what I mean by that is the thing that was bad was that Ackman was lobbying regulators to shut the company down. And that was bad because to the extent that he was successful and he was able to create some sort of political outcome where the facts didn't prevail, which happens from time to time, that added some risk. The good news was that once he laid out his case, you could pretty easily invalidate it, basically using evidence. In fact, even just limiting yourself to his evidence, you could invalidate it. But the other nice thing was you had this person who was very bright with a big team spending $50 million trying to develop the best, red team case that you could possibly have. So the risk in investing sometimes is what you don't know, right? You just don't know what you don't know. And having someone like Ackman, trying to turn over every stone and highlight everything he thought was bad about the company, actually in some sense de-risked the investment because it reduced the probability that I would have missed something about the company that would be bad. So, all told, I don't necessarily seek out situations like that, but at the same time, if it hadn't been for Ackman, the stock wouldn't have gotten cheap, and I never would have invested, and it's been great. So, I'm glad he did it. I hope he has more plans.
And when did you buy Herbalife?
We invested in Herbalife in January of 2013, and the Ackman short campaign started in late December of 2012. So basically a month after his initial presentation. And I only looked at it, I watched Ackman's presentation on Herbalife for very much the same reason that people stare at car accidents on the road, right? I was interested in, it looked like I was interested in seeing, basically. And I watched it, and the thing that stuck out at the time, I thought it was very compelling. I thought he was very compelling. He's a very compelling guy. And as I went through it though, the thing that stuck out at me was, in spite of everything he said, he then had this data where he showed that Herbalife's products sold at a discount to their manufacturer's suggested retail price, which on the internet, on eBay and Craigslist and stuff, or just on eBay. And that, he was using that as evidence that you can't make money as a distributor selling Herbalife. The thing that struck me though was that there was a discount, but they were effectively selling for something like 65 cents on the dollar. And Ackman's theory basically said that people were buying, something like $7 billion of this product at retail per year, and that for the most part they were throwing it in the garbage. And in general, if you have a whole lot of people who don't want a product, who have invested thousands of dollars in buying a product that they don't want, that they've tried to sell but can't sell, you would imagine that there would be listings for it on eBay for 5 cents on the dollar, 2 cents on the dollar, cash and come take it away. And so the fact that there was a lot of product trading at sort of 60 cents on the dollar struck me as weird and not consistent with his hypothesis. Further, turns out that Herbalife distributors buy the product for up to 50% off of MSRP. And so this meant that a distributor that bought it for 50 cents and sold it for 60 was making money. And so this also struck me as pretty weird, that would be the price. And that was really the fact, the inconsistency in his presentation that led me down the road to ultimately learning a lot more about the company and eventually realizing just how wrong he was in a variety of other ways, and then making the investment and going from there. I've since come to really appreciate that it's a very special business. Herbalife is it's a very powerful way of aligning and motivating people. And what I mean by that is that there's an economic incentive built in. That is what everyone focuses on. We're investors, we think about economics. But and so people can make money selling the product. But there's a whole sort of set of norms, and it's a culture. In some sense, it's analogous to the way social organizations like religions work, where people who join this organization subscribe to a set of shared aspirations and beliefs. And in the case of Herbalife, those beliefs are to lose weight and to live a healthy, active lifestyle, and moreover to share, like after you've had success losing weight and becoming healthy, and to then share that with other people, because you've improved your life and health, and they should too. And what's more, in doing that, you can make some extra money. And so it's a way to help people's life, in terms of their income, in terms of their weight, their health, and their income. And you could, and they do say this within the organization. Once you've discovered this, you've found out to improve your weight, your health, you can improve your health and your income. And also, it's very social. Like people have fun. So you can improve your social life, your health, and your income. Like it is almost, it is wrong not to share. It is incumbent upon you to share, because these other people are left without it. And that is a very powerful way. I mean, those things I described are very powerful ways to motivate people. And in doing so, what they've done over time is they've gathered a large and ever-growing sort of number of people who are deeply committed to this business. And those people are, when you meet with them at the higher levels and middle levels, what you find is that they're incredibly good at it. They're not necessarily rocket scientists. I wouldn't ask them to do calculus, but they're really good with people, and they're really smart, and they're really committed they're really dedicated, and they're really business savvy. They may not, again, it's not calculus and accounting, but it's sort of like coming up with lots of clever ways to sort of make their business better. And there's a spectrum. Obviously, there's people who've just used the product a few times and they're very loosely attached, and there's people who wake up every morning and bleed green. But what Herbalife ultimately is it's a group of people who wake up every morning and try to figure out a way to help more people, get healthy, lose weight, and make some extra money. and then how to grow that, that organization just a little bit. And that's why it's been so successful, and that's why, that's why we own it.
How did your investor base react as the case of Eggman came out?
Well, I've taken this approach to investing where we take a long-term view and we ignore short-term volatility, and I guess you could also add to that we wade into stuff that other people think is controversial. I don't think my investor base, the people who had already self-selected into the fund, were particularly, I guess I got some phone calls, but I think they were basically fine with it. Where it probably had a big impact was in terms of gathering additional assets. I think that, the asset manager, we really didn't gather a very large amount of assets over the life of the asset manager. But, in particular during kind of the periods in the Herbalife investment where, the stock wasn't doing particularly well and the company was having some issues, somewhat related to Ackman, somewhat just related to other things, sort of just ill-timed, that, I think it made me look pretty foolish. But, that's just what you have to. If you can't look foolish in this business, you ain't gonna do very well.